It's Sunday, November 13th, 2022. Um, it's the 23rd Sunday after Pentecost. I was asked today to go and attend church before Sunday school early, to help set up for the social hour, which I gladly did. So Nucci and I got there early, at the Episcopal Church. And then we were present for Sunday school. So we went to the guild room, and spoke with the Sunday school teacher. Um, she handed me a book, and the book was called The Message. And it's the gospel, but it's the message and it's Peterson as opposed to a different version. It had a dark brown chocolate color um, cover with almost golden pages. She asked me to read a passage from Luke, which had the number 21 on it, which was something about doomsday deceptor, which I did. I read. In it, it had something about an arrest. Again, it spoke volumes. She also said that the bishop for that particular Zion Episcopal Church was this man by the name of Bishop Michael Curry, which, again, she said, there's the 9. That brings me back to Thomas Jefferson and the Audi. So I'm like, right, the 9. And then she proceeded to tell me it's the Church of England, which I'm like, all right, I'll go down that for a moment. But our banner, the flag of the church on the shield, is a red cross on a white background. It looks nothing like England. If anything, I said Georgia, but it also looks very Faroe. It also looks, if we're speaking Nordic or Scandinavy, it also tends, if we go closer to the border of Russia, somewhere in like Latvian territory, but again, like speaking without a map. So I'm like Faroe. And then there's a red cross. That would be Singapore. So, and then that goes back to the word inside of the music. If I go spell the words. So I said to her, I'm a little confused because they use a different Union Jack for England, or at least for London. And I use that word, Union Jack, because that's the word that I heard them use on the television to announce themselves and what they call their flag. That makes it different than what English American call our flag here, or English speaking. So I thought that interesting. And so I asked the question of her. She did not know. She looked up on her phone, however, I don't know what, but it was what the white stood for, what the red cross stood for, which of course was nice to relearn. But I thought it interesting how on the crest of the church, and then in the beginning she had us play some kind of trivia, which the reference was breastplate. Um, my son seemed to be mystified that I knew the answer. Um, so there's that. So then um, Anthony wasn't really feeling, 2012 wasn't really feeling very well. Um, he looked a little more pale than normal, so I went to take him home. But then Lewis wanted to take us for a ride in the car. So there's this place that in his early adulthood that he used to go in New Jersey, and he wanted to take Nucci and I there and show us like where the stories were from. Also, my grandfather had relatives in Freehold, New Jersey. So Lewis took Nucci and I, we drove all the way there to a place called Englishtown. We went on the grounds, we walked all around, um, and then we left. I have no words, really. And so, um, there's a set of words that they use for this type of outdoor. I mean, bizarre is really what it looks like. But anyhow, so um, on the way home, there was music with words in it, which were like, eh. I mean, again, there's some intellectual poetry in these words and these rhythms that Lewis, like through the decades on the radio around here, just for hometown, whatever, that you've heard, you get to know, whatever. It's like a type or a genre of this area. So there's that. And then Lewis turned off like the 8 count and went into more higher order mathematics. He was playing Beethoven and Mozart. And then he went to Chopin. But if I go spell it, it says chop in. And Chopin, he played nocturnal or nocturnus, which is noctif, um, noctif. And then I was flipping that around because it's tiefen Nacht, but that's something different. So, um, that particular song, though, it I have a really hard time in. I hate to use the word idiot savant, but the way my brain works, I hear it's almost like his left hand and his right hand are fighting with each other on timing. And some of parts of the song are set just, they're slightly offset. So it almost sounds like the two hands are fighting different rhythms, which must be incredibly hard to pull off, except in the way that my brain works. I cannot take the timing. It gives me in the cradle of like the sphenoid ethmoid bone, like of wherever, whatever sits in that portion of my brain. It hurts my brain so much to have the timing playing at the exact same time, but only slightly off. It just, it just doesn't feel right. And so I watched to see if I was the only one in the car that it was annoying or that could feel this dysrhythmia. Um, and then I listened as the song found its way back into a timing that seemed consistent between the left and the right hand. But then it fell out of synchronicity again. So I mentioned it, and then he turned it to something different. He went to a different Chopin song, and then he went back to Beethoven. Um, but I could just, without the words, and just feeling the notes and the octaves and the temperance of the music and the complicated mathematics between the notes, the hands, the multiple hands working in some kind of synchronicity at the same time. It was just more, it was just better brain food. I could definitely feel the difference between the more modern music and then the composer's higher order. Um, so it was a nice quiet ride on the way home, just listening, I guess, consciously and subconsciously at the same time, to each of the pieces that were played. My son was quiet, which is always nice as well. Um, and we just kind of sat harmonious on the ride back. On the ride down, I was more visually astute and aware of some of the signs, like prime something payroll with New York Giants, and Mayer was down there, or Marr, for Bill Maher, the way he spells his name, at the terminal. Um, I was, as a passenger, I was watching the color groupings. I was watching just some of the things as we went down. I was looking at the cleanliness factor. I was looking at how many wires are there, some of the industrious complex that's down there, and knowing that as a passenger in a car without a tour guide, I have no idea what that white smoke coming out of the stacks are and what kind of facility it could possibly be. Um, and even though it's close to home, just knowing the landscape and who participates and what career fields I would have had to pursue in order to find employment at a facility like that, and why in the set of rooms and series of rooms that I was held in before getting to age of having children or getting to age of marrying, um, if they were going to just have a continuance of the set and series of rooms in the manner for which they forced, because I did not choose this, um, then why were better employment tracks and better educational tracks not offered, or even a militarized track offered? Why was everything withheld? It just doesn't make sense. So, so that was the day to day, pretty much in a nutshell. Um, when I left, there was a squad car, which was unusual in the parking lot, but I heard on the news anyway that there's a high alert going on. So I'm just mindful and gracious that they're keeping watch over us. So thank you for whoever that was, for whatever reason they were there. Um, it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.